Good morning, it's Shanna. We are going to look at my January wrap-up, which includes decks I've brought in, potentially decks that I've moved out, which maybe, I don't know, we'll see if we get to that. I haven't written those down, and I think I only have 3, but anyway. Books that I've read, which there are only a couple this month, and a couple random things that I've purchased and brought in as well. I also wanted to talk about my word of the year, some of my journaling practices, and etc. So we're going to start here. So for the past few years, I've chosen a word of the year. I know a lot of us do that. And, you know, in the past, I've chosen words like connect, or last year my word was aura, which I don't know why I chose that word because I didn't work with it like at all. I don't know why it came to me, but it was in my journal. I noticed it throughout the year. I never really came back to it. But this year, when I did my year ahead spread and then I wrote little snippets for each of the months, I was drawn to using the word Fylgja, which is a Norse word for essentially like a spirit that follows a person throughout their entire life. And there's been there's an article I read that kind of referred to them as sort of like fairy type beings. I've also heard them being referred to as an animal type spirit. Now, the thing that I read, so it was actually a video that talked about it being an animal spirit. So that one they talked about it sort of being a spirit that sort of suits you and your personality, your individual personality. So I don't really know which way I lean because honestly, this year, this is a brand new word for me. But it all sort of fell into place because I started feeling at the end of December that for 2025, I really wanted to work with guides throughout the whole year. So I really wanted something structured that I could use throughout the year that I didn't really have to like think too hard about. Does that make sense? So I feel like I really wanted to have some kind of oracle deck that I could pull out and have a guide. So I kind of looked at goddess decks. I kind of looked at deity decks, all the kind of things. And I really didn't have any at hand that I wouldn't have to buy, which was fine. But none of the ones that I looked at to buy quite fit. And so I realized that the Wild and Sacred Feminine deck has a lot of guides within it. It also has other things like threshold, and it has animals, and it has cave, things like that. And so I wasn't entirely sure that it was going to work, but in the process of looking for a deck to use for this year, I came across this word, Fylgja, and I basically wrote it here. It says, in Norse mythology, a Fylgja is a spirit that accompanies a person in relation to their fate or fortune. It translates to accompany, to follow. They're also typically seen as good, protective spirits, but can also be destructive or murderous on behalf of their chosen mortal, which, I don't know, I think that's funny. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should take this more seriously, but I feel like I don't want to. So it felt right, especially because I found this word after I was looking for a guide, and I wasn't looking for a specific Norse guide, just a guide in general. And so for it to come up as Norse, and that's what I've been leaning into is my Swedish kind of family line. It felt like it all fell into place perfectly at the time that I needed it. So that is my word for the year. And so I've been leaning into that, and I've been picking a card from the Wild and Sacred Feminine each week and intend to do it through the rest of the year. So far my words are, let me grab my thing here, my journal. Okay. So the first one was, and I know I'm not pronouncing this correctly, Curandera? I'm not sure. Anyway, that's what this card is. And so I felt like it was a perfect first card for January. And basically I'm just working with that energy, working with this specific guide throughout the week. I put up the card up onto my altar, and then I sort of just come back to it throughout the week if I'm having a hard day, or, you know, if I have a question that I want to maybe come to tarot for, I'll also sort of be asking this guide in the process of shuffling the tarot. And I don't know, it just feels very nurturing, and it's just something that I need right now. Whether or not I'll carry it throughout the rest of the year, that's my intention. But whether or not I'll actually feel like I need it throughout the rest of the year, I don't know. We'll see. So that was for the first week. The second week was Threshold, which kind of threw me because it's not like a physical being, right? But I wanted to kind of go into the guidebook for just a minute, because I felt like even though it was more of like less of a guide and more of an idea, it still was a nice place to sort of ground me and hold a place for me during that week. So let me find this $6.99. And I've really enjoyed this book. I don't know, this deck was exactly what I needed, and I just didn't realize it. So threshold and intention, and then the keywords are shadow and hesitation. It says, I cannot tell anymore when a door opens or closes. I can only hear the frame saying walk through. And so for me, that was kind of my guide's message for me, of stop hesitating, just go ahead and do it. And that was that week's message. That was my second week of January's message. And it just felt, I don't know, I guess, and I'm going to compare this to people who believe in gods, goddesses, a god, because growing up, I just never fully understood the point, I guess, of believing or praying in God. You know, it didn't really make sense to me until the past couple of years when I started working with just tarot in general, but sort of learning about and embracing more the concepts of gods, goddesses, deities, spirits, all of that kind of thing. And so this year I just felt like I needed that. And so it does feel a little foreign to me. But it's been nice, like, to sort of just not feel like I have to make all these right decisions by myself. Like, I can, you know, come to my altar and sit here and pull some cards and feel like I'm being guided by whatever it is you want to call it. I'm calling it my guide for the year, or for that particular week. It says to cross a threshold, you must delve into the mystery of who you are at the core of your being, lift any veils that prevent you from seeing the truth, and craft a soul mirroring intention to propel you into the unknown. And I don't know, this has been such an integral part of my practice so far this year. And I know we're only into the fourth week of the year, but it's just felt very profound and comforting. And that's where I'm at with this. So my third week was Deer. Now this week was intense. Just the guide itself was intense. So I pulled out the deck, and I feel like by the third week, the deck understood the assignment, right? It knew what I needed. And so without even like reminding it, like, okay, give me my guide for the week. This is what I'm looking for. I think I did one quick overhand shuffle, and the first card that fell out was the Deer. And I was like, okay, I can, I like that. I love this image. It reminds me very much of I think it's the Fool in the Enchanted Forest Tarot. I'm pretty sure that's the card with the white deer. And so, yeah, this was my guide. And I'm going to pull up this journal entry because this felt so profound to me. And I guess I'll leave this here. Let's see. And I guess I could have had this better prepared. Okay. Oh, actually, okay, that's what this was. Again, I should have been better prepared. So for this, when I pulled out the book first, and I don't know, however I pulled it out of the box, the page fell open too, right here. And this feels significant because of a couple of reasons. So before I even chose this deck, or before I even chose the card, see, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm so excited. This whole week just felt so perfect. I don't know, just fell into alignment. So I pulled out the book, the pages fell open and it landed here, and it felt significant because A, I don't remember highlighting this text at all. And B, I don't have this color highlighter. I don't own this color highlighter. So I was trying to remember if I bought this deck secondhand, which I had to have, right? Because I didn't highlight this. So for it to fall open on this, I was like, okay, interesting. I didn't even read it, but I was like, oh, that's kind of annoying, but okay, whatever, it's fine. There's no highlighting in the rest of the book that I could see. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So then, like I said, I pulled out the deck, I did one overhand shuffle, and this was the card that fell out, and that's the card that's highlighted. And so I was like, okay. So at that point I was listening, it felt very significant, and I felt excited. So kept the card out, read the book. I did a little bit of journaling that morning, just a little snippet, just to kind of remind myself what happened. And I went to work, business as usual. And this is one of the decks that I purchased this month. So this Gentle Chaos Pocket Oracle. This is a brand new deck. I've never seen it before. I've mentioned before I ordered decks for work, and this is one that had just come in. I ordered 2, and when I got there on Saturday, there was just one left. Someone had bought the other one, and I was like, oh no. So I grabbed it because I knew I wanted it. It's just, this is the back. It's just a cool little deck. Photography and illustrations. I liked the keywords. So yeah, I grabbed it. So I set it over on the counter. When I buy a deck at work, I generally don't open it because I'm holding cash all day. My hands are not like the cleanest, but it was a really slow day. So I opened it up. I started to flip through it. I was holding it. I was standing up at the front counter, and I started to just flip through it like this. And a card fell out and landed on the floor. And I was like, well, that's annoying. The floor's not exactly clean. So I bent down to pick it up, and as I picked it up, it landed upside down. As I picked it up, I thought, wouldn't it be funny if it correlated with this week's card in some way? And when I picked it up, I want to get to the card, the correct card. So we'll just kind of flip through this as I talk. When I picked it up, it took a second for me to realize what it was. And I just about died because this was the card, and it was deer. And I just, like, even now talking about it, I'm getting goosebumps. And so it just felt very intentional, like I was being spoken to and reassured that I was on the right path, and I was working with the correct guide, and that they had my back for the week. And it felt very profound. And so for the whole week, I had both of the cards on my altar, and I don't know, this whole practice feels very perfect. These are kind of a matte, that's not matte, kind of a satiny, shuffles nicely for a small deck. So yeah, I love it. It bows a little, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. The cardstock's nice. It's matte. And yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of a cool little deck. So that's the Gentle Chaos. And this was my second week working with a guide. And then, this was my third week working with a guide. I'll make sure I'm not okay. So my fourth week, which is this week, of working with a guide, I pulled out Ocean. And this one I've had to sit with a little bit. And also I've had to kind of remind myself, it doesn't have to necessarily, when I pull a card, it doesn't have to be like this big revelation of like all the things lining up. It can just be my guide. I don't have to fully understand it. I don't have to explain it to myself. I don't even necessarily have to journal about it. It can just be. And I think that's kind of the point of this exercise for myself, is to just allow myself to be and to lean into it, which, you know, is kind of the image on this card, just being able to lean in. And it reminds me of getting swimming lessons when I was a kid. The panic that I felt when my swim instructor would want me to, she was trying to teach me to float on my back. Spoiler alert, I could not do it. I didn't trust her enough to lay back and relax. And so I never really fully learned how to float from her. I had to do it on my own. So being able to lean into this energy of embracing my guide this week and leaning back and being able to breathe and close my eyes and trust in the process is kind of, it's the point. So that's this week's energy, and it's been nice because there's been a lot of big changes in at my work, and it's been stressing me out more than I realize. And I haven't been exercising. Long story short, I had some like random injury thing, and to be honest, a little bit of laziness. I should have been stretching throughout the whole month so that I could kind of get past that injury, and I just wasn't. I was using it as a crutch, and I feel like I'm almost there. Like this, I was going to run this morning, but I didn't. But I'm almost there. I'm almost back. I've taken a couple of months off because of this injury, and I need to lean into this. So that's where I am with that. And I feel like I sort of rambled. I don't know if I got off topic there. Thanks for bearing with me. We'll move on now. I brought in quite a few decks this month, which is always so funny to me because I feel like every month I sort of get in this mindset of like, oh, I don't need to bring in more decks. I have a lot. I'm enjoying the ones I have, and I don't know. And then all of a sudden, here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 decks that I brought in this month, which, okay, I don't even know how that happens, but here we are. So the first deck I brought in, I saw on Instagram. If you guys don't follow her, her name's Trina Webb, I believe, on Instagram. And she tends to have some really cool decks. And she posted a picture of this one. And I asked her what it was, and if I'm not mistaken, she was under the impression that this was not an AI deck. And because I did not do my homework, I, did a quick Google search. I got to the website, thought the deck was beautiful, and hit the buy button without really doing any research whatsoever. Their website does say, I believe, that this is an AI deck. Are we close enough here? Which is kind of a bummer. First of all, this cardstock is honestly atrocious. It's glossy and very stiff. Like, this is stiffer even than the textured tarot. It's completely different cardstock, but this just feels like heavy duty cardstock to me. I don't like it. It doesn't shuffle, and it's very thick. But the images are pretty. But I'll be honest, I realized it was AI before I even received it in the mail. And so when I got it, I was already a little put off by it. It reminds me a little bit of Somnia, kind of the somber tones and mood. And I don't know, it just kind of threw me, which is a bummer because it is really pretty. And I just wish it was, a photography deck, but it's not. And so it's a little bit creepy. I've never really been creeped out by the Somnia Tarot, so I'm not comparing it in that way. But it's a little creepy, I'm not gonna lie. It's beautiful, but it just doesn't. I need to be, this has to be my last deck that I buy, not knowing that it's AI. I have to be more careful about it because I'm not getting anything out of it, and it's such a bummer. Like, I don't know. I want to say, like, no intention was put into it, which isn't true because the person sitting behind the computer obviously went through a lot of work to input the correct prompts to get these images just so. And I don't know what AI program they used to get this, but I've played with a couple, and it is not easy to get something that comes out like this, let alone 78 cards. It's not a simple process. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about this deck. I'm kind of irritated with it, but like, I think this is, I don't know. It's beautiful. And so it's down with some of my other decks that I'm just not using for now. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I'll use it, if I'll sell it. But it did kind of bum me out. So that's that. This is the, did I say? Tarot of Happiest Country in the World, which I believe is Norway. Fairly certain. So I don't know. What do you guys think of this deck? I think it's beautiful. I'm not sure about its energy or if it even has any energy. I don't know. But that's one of the ones I bought this year. Or excuse me, this month, January. Sorry, I just had to make sure I had actually hit record. All right, next up, these are in no particular order, but I feel like this was the second one I purchased, and I do not know what possessed me, why this was in my world. I don't know. I don't remember seeing this card or this deck ever. I feel like I was on eBay looking for something else, and maybe it was like suggested to me. This is the Seawitch Tarot, and I feel like maybe it was on Kickstarter. Okay, 2021. So, and I was just barely getting back into tarot in 2021. So maybe I've just seen it on someone else's channel. I have no idea. Anyway, I bought this secondhand on eBay, and it's a pretty cool deck. I'm going to kind of spread it out like this. Let's see if I can get, so we can see more than one card at a time. I think my only issue with it is that it's kind of dark. Like some of the details are a little bit lost because it's so dark. Are we all in frame here? Yes. But I love the concept of it. It's kind of that sea witch, dark, piratey kind of vibe. And I don't know, it's unique. I like that it has these different sort of designs on the cards. This is the back. And I believe she has a French version that's black background with white octopus, if I remember correctly. That is still in print, again, if I remember correctly. But sometimes when a deck pops up like this and I like it, especially if it's on eBay, if I like it and I can afford it, I tend to just grab it because most of the time when I don't, someone else does. And then I'm bummed and I wind up spending way more than I would have if I had just gotten that the first time I saw it. So this is a fun one. I'm not sure how I'm going to use it specifically, but I feel like this will be kind of a summer deck when I go to the coast. And I already have the Oceanum Arcana, which I love. That is my ocean deck. But I feel like this kind of slots into a different space, and I haven't quite figured out what yet. And I think I will once I'm able to take it to the coast. Once I'm able to be there and feel the vibe of it and use it, I think I'll be better able to understand what the purpose of this deck will be. So like this one, I mean, it's kind of dark. I kind of don't care, but I feel like, something like that could have been modified better, dare I say, in whatever program they used to create the deck. And that's just me nitpicking. You know, I don't know. Maybe they intended for it to be dark. I have no idea. But I like it. I like that it's Pip. I don't work with a lot of Pip decks, but it's kind of fun that it is. I don't know, and that it's mixed up like this. I don't know. I like it. I like the vibe of it. It feels good in my hands, and I'm glad she's mine. The Seawitch Tarot. Mademoiselle Dauphine. I'll link everything below. Yeah, I don't know. I keep looking at this. I have it in my cupboard downstairs, and it's not quite the right time to pull it out and use it, but I feel like this deck is excited to be used, and I'm excited to see what its job for me is. So next up I have, this is another eBay find, and I feel like maybe, oh, actually, okay, I remember why I bought this deck. You guys are gonna laugh. Maybe, I don't know. I laughed. So I like to go on, this is weird. Maybe it's weird. I don't know. I like to go on eBay or just Google in general, and I like to search Little Bird Tarot because I want to see if, I don't even know if I don't want to like say this out loud and like manifest it to be true, but I want to see if anyone's doing counterfeit decks because I would totally turn them in if they were. I just think that would be really a crummy thing to do. But anyway, I was on eBay. I typed in Little Bird Tarot, and someone who had purchased it through Kickstarter, I assume, had just recently sold one, which I'm totally fine with. No problem there. But they had several other items for sale. So I popped into their eBay store. And if you're watching this, I swear I'm not a crazy person like stalking you or anything. I thought it was interesting and I thought it was fun. And they had this deck for sale. And it was cheaper to buy it through them than it was through the creator, even with shipping and everything. So I bought it. And I don't know, this just makes me laugh. Like someone who had my deck was selling a deck that I wanted and bought it. I don't know. It seemed funnier in my head. So this is the We Star in the Forest of Precious Twigs Oracle. And I don't know, I kind of went back and forth on this deck, you know, for a while. I know Annette at Project Refined Life really likes this deck and uses it. I don't know if she uses it with her Remembering the Sweet Fool, but has brought them into a video together a few times. So I don't know. I love a lot of the cards. I love most of the cards. But some of them feel a little chaotic. Like this one's a little bit, I don't know, a little bit weird. This one feels a little dark. I don't know. It feels a little bit dark. And I'm not sure how I feel about it, and so, which is why I've hesitated to buy it, but because it was less money than buying it. Like this one's super creepy. Okay, I gotta say, this was the card that was on top when I first opened the deck. It's not the first card, it's number 62. So if you are selling decks, please don't put the creepiest card on top for your buyer. That threw me, and it was a weird first impression of this deck, and it just, I don't know, it says, I hold open the gateway between life and death, allowing it to flow freely through me. Spirit delivered to flesh and bone, blood and deeply chosen breath. It's a nice message. It's okay. It was a little bit extra for me to open that. This one, I don't know. The deck feels a little disturbing to me, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. This feels very dark. And I don't mean like in an evil way. I don't feel like it's evil, which is a whole conversation in and of itself, but I don't know. I haven't been able to use it. I'm not sure how I feel about it. This one feels a little off. This one feels, I don't know, heavy. But most of the cards I really enjoy. And I like the concept of having a message on the back. I just think that's a nice concept in a deck. This one kind of wigs me out. She's got a key in her mouth and like a keyhole in her back. I don't know. It just, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I feel about it. We've got a deer here This one's cute. I don't know. But it's here. It's mine for now. So I'm holding on to it. And I feel like, you know, the creator of this, where they created the Remembering the Sweet Fool, I feel like that person has a good energy. Like, I don't know them. I've only seen some of their social media posts, but like they seem like they have good energy. So I'm trying to kind of view the deck through that lens. I don't know. We shall see. Anyway, that's one of the decks I bought this month. Up next is a deck that, man, how can I forget her name? Ange on Roots and Waves on both Instagram and YouTube commented on one of my past videos where I had another Oracle deck by Sonia Coquette, and she mentioned this deck. She felt like it really went well together with the one that I currently, you know, the one that I had. Maybe I'll just take the cards out that I do like and add them to the deck and just, you know, kind of use it that way. But Look Forward, I kind of like that one. Say Thank You, I don't know. You guys get it. Accept Love. Do I regret buying it? Not necessarily. Like, I do like some of these cards. They're pretty cute. That's this deck. I like this one's really cute. But what a weird word, decorate. I don't know. We're going to finish looking through these. Give yourself the best. Does she not look like Queen Charlotte on Bridgerton? And maybe it's just her hair. I don't know. She looks like Queen Charlotte to me. But I don't know. Rise and Shine. No, you know what? Now that I'm kind of putting these in piles, I do kind of like some of these cards more than I realized. This one, it's cute. I like the message. I just, like, make me, I don't know. I don't want to be patient. That's a maybe. I'm gonna quit sassing the deck, but sorry, I kind of stopped talking. Drop it. That's probably one I need to see now and then. Start anew, get over yourself. And turn back. And then let's see. These are my maybes. Anyway, I'll go through these later. But you know, I mean, the pile's pretty big. Like that's a good stack of cards that I could add to the other deck by her. So, okay. So I'll tell you, thank you for sitting here with me while I make that completely unnecessary decision on camera. I'm going to organize these a little like that and set them aside for later. Okay, next is a deck that I have debated for a few years now as to whether or not I needed it, if I wanted it, if their bodies are too weird for me. But Han over at Simply Han has talked about this deck a handful of times, and she says that she uses it for when she's feeling outside of her body, which I loved that concept. It's maybe not necessarily how I'll use the deck, but it reminds me a lot of the Outgrow Yourself Tarot. And I don't know, I really like it. I've liked it for a while, but I've kind of gone back and forth. It's one of those, like, is it too cool for me decks? But I don't think it is. I think I can get into it. I love the colors. I like that the bodies are kind of wonky and jaggedy, and I like that not every figure is young looking. Another deer. I don't know, I like it. I've not read with it yet. I don't know. I'm not sure how I'll use this deck, but I'm excited to get into it. I feel like this might be like a late spring, early summer kind of vibe for me. But I'm excited to have it, and I'm thrilled that it's still available to purchase, and it was very inexpensive. I want to say it was like $40. And obviously, inexpensive is relative. I understand that. But for an indie deck, it was relatively inexpensive. So I'm thrilled to have it in my collection, and I feel like it's going to be one that sits on my shelf with the Outgrow Yourself all year long. So that's that. It is a deck that, it's an older deck, and I don't know, it was just kind of calling to me. I felt bad for it. I have Radley Valentine's Angel deck, the one that has like the pretty lacy borders and stuff that everyone calls the grandma deck. Yeah, I don't know. I just like it. You know, these are the backs. It has these different border colors, which I don't know. I kind of like that. And it's just, it's very endearing in its cheese. And I only have the one other deck by Radley Valentine, and I just kind of like it. I don't know. It feels cozy. I don't really know another way to explain it. I like that it has the seasons for the suits. And I've enjoyed it. And I have about 4 Oracle decks that I keep in my, I have a small dresser in my closet where I keep Oracle decks that I, you know, can pull out in the morning that I'll keep 1 or 2 decks on my morning altar that's in my closet on my dresser. But I don't have a tarot in there. And I just thought, you know, because I have the Angel Tarot on my nightstand with my night altar, this felt like something that would fit well on my morning altar in my closet to go with the oracles. To be able to pull a deck, or, you know, pull a card in the morning. Or sometimes when I get home from work, if I had a really bad day, you know, stressful, whatever, I just need 20 minutes of quiet, I'll go in my closet, close the door, and just sit in the dark. But I think this would be a nice deck to have in there, just for a little hug, a little cozy reconvening of energy. And in case you're curious, the cardstock is better than the Angel deck. It actually shuffles. It kind of reminds me of the Voyager Tarot cardstock. Well, no, it doesn't. I don't know, the glossiness of it does, but it's a little stiffer than that one. But it does shuffle. It's a little sticky, but it's brand new. I think this is one that will loosen up with time and become less sticky. So it's really not too bad. Like, it fans pretty decently. So that is the Fairy Tarot by Radley Valentine. The guidebook, pretty basic. It's got about 1.5 pages for each one. I have not really even opened that because it's got the messages on the cards. So, all right, 2 decks left, and then we'll get into books. Actually, just 1 deck. 1 deck and a pairing, because we'll get into that in a minute. The Craft Felt Tarot is one that recently was just sent out to backers on the Kickstarter, or from the Kickstarter campaign. I went back and forth on this one on Kickstarter, as I do. It seems to be a theme for me. I wasn't sure. And then I saw a couple walkthroughs of this deck as people started to receive them, and it's very endearing. I love the concept. It's so creative. It's so well done. The colors are so much more than I would have expected. Like, it's not just your basic primary colors. Like, the creator put in so much time and effort in skin tone, in shading, in the different colors of like the grass and the trees. You know, it's not everything is the same shade of green. Like, I don't know, they just did an amazing job. And the cards are so creative. I love the cup suit. You know, it's just everything about this deck. And she's just beautiful. I love the cat. I think the Five of Pentacles in this deck, hopefully I haven't passed it already, is my favorite Five of Pentacles ever. It's so sweet and heartfelt, and if you like this one, I highly suggest getting it. It's probably, I imagine, one of those that once it's gone, it's gone. Again, I don't know that. They could reprint for 10 years. I have no idea. But it was one that I didn't want to miss out on. I must have missed the Five of Pentacles. Oh, she's right there. I think she was the first one. I just think this is so sweet. You know, she's got her little cat, a little tail wrapped around. I don't know. I love this deck. So I saw this on Krista Chronicles. I think she was doing it on deck speed dating. It was either that or just a walkthrough of this deck. I don't remember. Regardless, she paired it with the Dirt Gems, and I thought it looked so good together. The colors, the vibe, everything was just so good together. And the Dirt Gems Oracle is one that it's one that I've kind of gone back and forth on. I don't really work with plant decks. So anyway, I went back and forth. I'm like, if I buy this thing, it's only going to go with this one deck. And am I going to use it? Because you have to kind of dig into the guidebook for it. And I pulled out my Flower Medicine Oracle deck by Kathy Nichols. And you guys, I'm thrilled with the way this pairs up. And I'm thrilled with the fact that now I don't think I need to buy the Dirt Gems. Not that I needed to before, but I don't think I will be buying the Dirt Gems because this one looks so good together. Love the colors. I like the vibe of it. I'm just going to go like that. I don't know. I think it works. And anytime, you know, now that my collection's bigger, anytime that I can find something to pair that I already have, I'm thrilled because it just means I don't have to get another deck, you know? And I don't use this one a ton. I love this one. I enjoy it, but I don't use it a ton, again, because it's a plant deck. But I think I'll use it more now with this. It fits. It fits the vibe. I like how colorful it is. So that's that. Okay, I'm going to pause because I did get one more deck. Let me go get it. Okay, the Victorian Fairy Tarot. This one came in a few days ago. We all know the story. It took forever to get, and people are either super cool with it or super pissed about it. And I'm cool with it. Like, honestly, the creators of this deck, they just wanted the thing to be right. And so, yeah, it took them a long time. And then halfway through of the long time, they decided to switch printers, and it was a whole thing. Do I fault them for it? No. Because frankly, if they sent out a subpar product, people would be even more pissed and have more reason to gripe and moan about it. And at the end of the day, you know what? It's Kickstarter. There's going to be setbacks sometimes. And I have no issue with it. You know, this deck this deck comes with a bunch of postcards. You get, and I'm not going to pull everything out because you guys have probably already seen it. You get like a scarf or a tarot cloth that you can wrap your deck in. And yeah, it's kind of thin, but it's beautiful. And like, I don't care. Whatever. You know, the creators wanted to create a thing and they did it. The end on that. The guidebook is gorgeous. It's hardback. I think they did a beautiful job. I mean, it even has end papers. You've got, you know, a relatively small write-up for each. Not small, but you know, for a big book, there's not a ton there, but that's okay. This is a great book. It's beautiful. It's well put together. It's bound beautifully. It has a little bookmark in it, like a book ribbon. If I can get to it. Not that I need to show you the ribbon, but now I'm invested. So yeah, like, you know, they thought of everything. It's beautiful. Do I need a mini deck of this? No. Would I have bought it if it was sent, you know, offered separately? No. But I know a lot of people really love having the mini deck. But like it's a collector set. So I think that's where they were coming from. This is so funny. Okay, so we're all going to have our opinions. I'm not even going to get into my opinion because it literally doesn't matter. The creators created a thing. They posted pictures on Kickstarter, and you had the option of to buy it or not. And I chose to buy it. And so that's what it is. It's a beautiful set. The cards are lovely. Do I love the deck? I don't know. Did I love it when I purchased it on Kickstarter or when I backed it on Kickstarter? I don't know. I kind of wanted it because it was an out-of-print deck. People were, gushing about it. It's objectively beautiful. I love the tones of it. I don't know. It's probably one I'll keep it because it is a collector's item. And I feel like it's one that eventually I'll probably find a job for. The cardstock's nice and flexible, very shuffleable. I know some people had issues with their cards sticking. My big deck came out completely unstuck. There was not a single card stuck together. My mini deck was a little bit snaggy. But as you do when you pull them out, I just did a little bend, a little snap this way, and they came apart, no problem. It shuffles nice. I have no issue with it. I don't know. I guess it's funny. I feel like I was maybe more excited a year ago, and I've become less excited about it, but I don't know. This might be one of those decks that it's nice to have to do a trade with someone for a deck that I want more. We'll see. And with that is the last deck that I brought in, or that I had to bring in. I can't talk. You know what I'm trying to say. Last deck for January. Okay, books that I've read. I did not read very much this month. I have several books that I'm currently reading, but I've been very slow. So probably next month I'll have more of a catch up on those. I did a buddy read with a friend. We read The Picture of Dorian Gray, which I went into knowing exactly what it was. I read the reviews, read what it was about, and I was excited because it's by Oscar Wilde. And I thought, oh, I'm going to be an intelligent, wise person reading an Oscar Wilde book, this famous poet. And honestly, I really didn't like it. Not even a little bit. I thought the writing was bad. I thought the dialogue in the book was awful. I didn't like it. The premise of the story was fine. Like, I had no issue with the premise of the story or like the scandalous nature of it. I had no issue with that. I didn't enjoy it. So I gave that one 2 stars. I don't know. I've only heard good things. It got really good reviews. So I'm surprised I didn't like it. I don't know. I didn't. So the friend that I read it with, however, really enjoyed the book. So can't recommend it. But, if you're curious, it's not a very long book. So that's all I'll say on that. The Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Colgan is one that it was the end of December when I started reading it. Have I talked about this book before? Well, if I did talk about it, feel free to skip ahead. I'm going to talk about it again just in case I haven't. So the Christmas Bookshop, I downloaded it on Audible and I wanted to listen to it because it was a cozy read for Christmas. It got decent reviews and I thought it was another terrible book. I think I gave it 3 stars. I want to say about three quarters of the way through, I started liking it more, but the main character was so whiny and like the whole storyline, it just didn't feel like anything happened until about 3/4 of the way through. And then it was just very predictable. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. Yeah, there's just not much else to say about it. The only other book that I read recently that I haven't talked about yet is The Witch's Art of Incantation. And, full disclosure, I didn't read it from cover to cover. I did flip through and get a generalized idea of the author's intent. And I really like Roger J. Horn's writing. I like his other books. I've read, what is it, Folk Witchcraft. I really enjoyed that book. And I just got a generalized idea of it. I didn't feel like this was a book that needed to be read cover to cover. So that was one that I flipped through, enjoyed for what it was, and is now part of my collection. So those are the books I completed since my last catch-up video. And like I said, I do have several that I'm currently reading that I'm just about through. So I'll have more books to review next month. Lastly, I wanted to talk about some things, some other little random witchy things that I've brought into. So I started buying the Pythia Oil from, I think it's Poison Arrow Apothecary. I'll link everything, and if I can think of it, I will post a picture of her shop here. She's on vacation, or her shop's on vacation mode. So I was forced to go somewhere else to look for oils because I like having ritual oils to put on my hands before I do a tarot reading. I like to have a specific oil that I use before I, sit to do a YouTube video for you guys. So I like having like certain scents to sort of ground me and bring me into where I'm at, what I'm doing here at my altar. So I went to Amazon. I know, shame on me. And the first one I wanted to try was frankincense and myrrh, because a couple of the scents of the Pythia oil were frankincense and myrrh, and I really like those two scents together. So I got this one, and I just very much don't like it. It's a coconut oil carrier, and that's all I smell when I put it on is the coconut oil, and I don't like coconut oil. It smells like coconuts, and I'm just not a fan. So that one I will probably be giving to my daughter to see if she likes it. The next one I tried was meditation, and these are by Eden's Garden. It's a woman-owned business, which I like. Their write-ups, their about section sounded great. So this one's better because it doesn't smell like coconut oil. Even when I put it on, it is a coconut carrier, but it does not smell like coconut. However, it smells like black licorice, and I just can't. I don't like the smell of black licorice, so that's the second one that's a no. Then I tried Pythia. This was another funny little coincidence, I guess, happenstance, serendipitous thing that I found. I like the Hagroot brand. I've bought multiple oils from them. I've bought Winter Witch, I've bought Hecate, I've bought the Kronos. I have several by them, and I really like. My favorite is actually the Goblin Market. Absolute favorite. It smells so good. So I wanted to try this because I thought, this will be perfect when I'm sitting here and I want to work with that spirit energy of the Pythia. And it's okay. It's very perfumey, and it reminds me, honestly, now that I am thinking, okay, so if any of you are old enough, you probably maybe have an older relative who had perfume candies. They were little tiny round, like candy colored perfume filled candies. I don't know what was in them. They were disgusting. When you eat them, your mouth smells like perfume. That's what this smells like. And I want to like it so much because I want to use it. I just don't like it. So then I thought, okay, well, until this shop is back up and running, I want to make my own. So I did buy a bunch of oils. Some of them haven't arrived yet. This has just been in the last week. So I bought myrrh, I bought frankincense. What else? I'll write on the screen what else I bought. But I want to try and make my own so that I can just have this oil. And when I use oils, when I do tarot, I don't put it on my palms. I rub it on the backs of my hands. I rub my backs of my hands together. Once that's soaked in, I will come back over with the tops or with the palms of my hands so that I kind of get that smell. And I like the scent on the cards. I just don't want oily hands. I don't like oily fingers. It grosses me out. So that's how I use it. So I'll be making those, and maybe next month's catch up, I will let you know how that goes. That's pretty much all I've brought in this month. Oh, I lied. I see one more thing. Okay, I brought in from the Forager's Daughter, who does the Forager's Daughter Tarot, whose name is escaping me. She makes these cicada pendulums. She's got this clear glass one that's kind of got like a rainbow hue to it. I don't know if that's quite catching the light, hopefully. And then she's also got one that's like more of a rainbow, like a lot more rainbow colored. And I don't know. I thought it was beautiful. I've talked about having a few pendulums in the past as well. And I just thought it was a beautiful, beautiful one to bring into my collection. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be my 5th one. Like, I don't need this to turn into a collection, but I really wanted this one. I wanted to have it to use with my Forager's Daughter Tarot. And I like that it's an indie creator, so I wanted to support her in that. So that is all I have for January, and I just want to say thank you again, as usual, for being here, and I will catch up with you guys next week.